Negotiation skills is what I was told to talk about. Negotiation situation arises because of conflict. In job situation, there may be a conflict because the employee wants a raise in salary. The employee says, I've been working for 6 months, 8 months, I've done very well. You think that raise cannot be given, so there is a conflict. Within the family, husband and wife both are working. Husband goes from his office to a club, spends time with his friends, comes home around 9 o'clock. The wife does the household chores. Then one day the wife says, no, I'm not going to do this. You have to come back home and help me with the kitchen work. That's where the conflict arises. In politics, there is conflict. How many seats? Supposing now elections are going to take place in Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh. A constituent of a coalition wants a certain number of seats, which the other parties are not ready to give. So the conflict situation arises. Within countries and among countries, there is a tug of war for economic and geopolitical domination. Religious and caste groups. A mosque is sought to be constructed in a Hindu dominated area, Hindu majority area. And then within the individual, there may be conflict. A person is trying to give up the habit of drinking, but that habit keeps coming back, and there is a conflict that arises within his own mind. Now, when a situation of conflict arises, sometimes we do conflict handling. So we just push one side and say, you have to. Job situation, for example, you tell the person, look here, this is what we can pay. We can't pay a paisa more, otherwise you leave the job. That is conflict handling. Within the family, the husband says, I can't come. If you're not happy, go back to your parents' house. Politics, the party says, we can only give you so many seats, we can't give one more. Similarly, in other situations also. But most of the time, instead of conflict handling, what we do is conflict resolution. And it is in conflict resolution that negotiation comes into the picture, because through negotiation, we try to find a via media or the middle path which would partially satisfy both the groups. So that is how negotiation becomes important, not only in the business world, but in all different types of situations, wherever there is conflict. But what happens is that when we do negotiation and we do conflict resolution through negotiation, it often leaves a negative trail. For example, in the job situation, we may somehow convince the person to work for a certain amount of salary, but the person will always keep thinking that he is not or she is not getting what he or she deserves, and they may keep looking for some other options. What happens? A negotiated solution solves the problem partially, but it's not an ideal situation. So the ideal situation would be that the conflict does not take place and the need for negotiation does not arise. That would be an ideal situation. So what is the result of this? The result is that I may have to change my topic from negotiation skills to conflict and negotiation avoidance skills, and of course negotiation skills also. So I'm going to primarily focus on how to avoid a conflict. Now, for example, going back to the previous slide, supposing the company is doing so well that they don't mind paying a little extra to the employee, and the employee is so good that he really deserves or she really deserves. So naturally, the conflict will not arise. In the family situation, primarily our focus should be on avoiding a conflict situation. Why I'm saying this is because it has almost become a trend to talk of negotiation. So, your boss, when you are recruiting somebody, his question will be, did you negotiate? As if without negotiation, you should not take somebody on the roles. So, my focus would be, can we create a situation, an atmosphere in our organization where the requirement for negotiation does not arise? And as we go along, you'll find that whatever points I'm going to give will also apply to negotiation situation. So both are essentially and characteristically the same. Before going further, let me thank Shraddha, Director, HR Manager Monica for organizing this talk. Thanks to all the participating participants for sparing time, and thanks to your controlling authorities for having spared you for this talk and interaction. Now, let's take up one by one. Most important in any situation of negotiation or conflict avoidance is language skills, because language helps you to cushion what you are saying. Look at these two sentences. One sentence says, you must understand that working in this company will fill up the many gaps in your knowledge about software. The other sentence is, I feel enthused by the idea that a brilliant person like you will be able to acquire many new skills here. So, if you look at it, both sentences are saying essentially the same. What both sentences are saying is that you have good opportunities of growth in this company. But the first sentence focuses on the knowledge gaps in the person's skills. The second sentence calls him brilliant and gives a positive feedback. So naturally, the person will be more enthused by the second sentence. So, how you frame your sentences, even if you are going to say something unpleasant, how you cushion it in good words is very important. In language skills, body language is very important. Are you looking at the client or at your phone? You know, many people have a habit, they'll keep talking to somebody and at the same time they might be playing a game. So, when you don't pay, and there is a way of sitting also, you know, supposing you're sitting like this as if you're disconnected, and there is a way of sitting like this as if you are interested. You look at the person. Do you repeatedly say, what did you say? Please repeat. What will happen? The other person will feel that you're not taking him seriously. Does your body language say, when will this ordeal be over? When will you go away? So, what will happen? That body language should not give that type of impression. Do you yawn? You would have observed that if I start yawning, all of you will start yawning too. Yawning is such a, it catches up. So, if you start yawning, the other person will also lose interest. Is your questioning interrogative or friendly? Some people have a very interrogative style of asking. Oh, so you gave up that job. Why? You know, it is as if he has done some big crime and you are questioning him why he did that crime. So instead of interrogative style, okay, that would have been a good job. So, okay, but why did you leave that? That was such a good job. That's a way of asking. And he'll say, what will he say then? He'll say, yeah, that was a good job, but then I heard about your company. Okay? So he'll be Nele Bedella. So, do your eyes say, useless fellow wasting my time? Have you confronted that type of situations? Sometimes what happens, the other person considers you to be a burden. So, we should train ourselves to be very pleasant. There are pleasant ways of saying things, the body language, the use of words. Rehearsal and review. This is very, very important. Symbolism and the inner world. What is a symbol? What are symbols? Symbol is something which stands for something else. And in human communication, symbols play a very, very important role in human communication and thinking also. Okay. So, in fact, if you look at it, language consists of symbols. When we say up, we are actually drawing something. It's a drawing. To a person who doesn't know Hindi, up is just a drawing, nothing else. We have given it a meaning. So, what happens is, we humans are able to bring a situation through symbols. For example, let's say we are all military officers. I am the general and we are going to go for war, or we are preparing for a war. I say, look here, this is our tank. This is the gun. Now, what will happen? All of you will take this as tank. No one will say, no, sir, this is a mobile. Okay. So we will be able to discuss a situation, and when you go to the field, you will be able to recreate that situation in the field based on whatever we had done with the mobile phone and the mic, etc. Okay. So this is how the symbols become very, very important. In rehearsal, what you do is you go through what you are going to do later. And many of us do not do rehearsal because we feel it's such a simple task. What is there? I have conducted interviews so many times, so why should I rehearse now? So the person who is conducting thinks, I have conducted so many interviews, and the person who goes for the interview thinks, I have appeared in so many interviews, but that should not be done. I have found that if you do rehearsal every time, you'll find that your performance will be much, much better. So when you are doing a rehearsal, speak everything, every sentence, every word you are going to use, every joke you are going to crack, and every expression you are going to use in your actual performance. And you'll find that it will give a lot of improvement to your performance. Rehearsal and review results in what I call as sequence of growth. See, as a person, we grow. It's a sequence. Rehearsal helps you to plan how to do things perfectly. You collect details about the client or about the job seeker, software knowledge if you want a project for software. What happens, now, let us say that I am working for a software company, I am looking for a client. If I know about technology, software technology, I'll be able to do things much better. So, in that preparation stage, at the rehearsal stage, I should collect knowledge. Otherwise, what will happen? I'll be depending upon the other person to tell me everything. We should prepare ourselves, we should rehearse, we should go through all situations within the mind. So, what will happen? Once you have rehearsed, then during the execution, the rehearsal will provide you a framework, and the actual situations will provide you triggers for innovation within that framework. You have already planned, and sometimes what may happen is you had planned a certain direction and the other person takes it in a different direction. That can also happen. Then what you should do, you should review after that. I had planned like this, and this is how it went. Why was there a deviation from how I had planned? Then based on that review, you're going to improve next time. That is why I call it as sequence of growth. Image building is very important. And even a failed negotiation leaves a trail. This is something we must understand. We say, okay, negotiation failed. It doesn't fail, it leaves a trail. Maybe the negotiation could not succeed for some reason, but now when that person comes to you next time, he might be more inclined to accept what you're going to say because he has now started liking you. Or maybe it is the other way around. You dislike that person so much that next time he gives you a ring, you say, no, we don't want you. So, even a failed negotiation leaves a trail. A good but failed negotiation prepares ground for better future negotiation. Image building becomes very important. When you are looking for a hotel, what do? You go to the internet, check up the comments by the others. Similarly, your image will reach the prospective job seekers, the prospective clients, and they will uh, help you to get more people. Now, something very, very important and something very different from what others have been saying in the books. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam approach. Indians are doing very well, and that is because we have a very positive approach about others. First point I've given is employees as clones of the owner and vice versa. What do I mean by that? When you are working in a company, let's say there is a particular person who is one of the 500 employees in a company. Why did the owner start a company? He had money and he wanted to make more money. Okay. Had he been like Bhagwan Krishna, who could multiply himself into 500 people with different roles, he would have done that. Why should he give money to somebody else? Okay. So why is he employing you? Because you are going to do his job. Okay. So if you look at it, theoretically, you are a clone of the owner. You are there because the owner could not produce 500 clones like himself. Otherwise, he would have preferred that. So, if you are one of the clones of the owner, then how should he treat you? He should treat you as if you are he himself. Okay? Will that change the approach? Instead of thinking, okay, this man is my employee, I give him money, he does the work for me. Instead of that, if he starts thinking, this man is me, then whenever the shoe pinches you, it will pinch him also. You understand? Similarly, the other way around also. Now, you are an employee because you didn't have the money to start a company. Otherwise, you would have liked to start it yourself and make money. If you had 500,000 crore rupees, you would have started a company and you would have become the owner of the company. So, somebody has done the role that you would have liked to do and created an opportunity for you to earn money. Okay. So, now he is your clone. So, when you talk about him, think about him, if you think about him as if he is you, then your attitude will change. Do you see the difference between the two approaches? One approach is where the owner says, okay, I have money, I'm the big man, I'm the owner, this person is my employee. The other is that person says, because I could not become 500 persons, therefore, I have taken him as one of my clones. So the attitude will change. He'll become much more sympathetic, and that will build up a family type of relationship, a Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam type of attitude towards each other. The unlimited thali. What is the unlimited thali? That is there in certain restaurants. What happens in the unlimited thali? You pay a certain amount of money and then you eat as much as you can or wish. So that means the restaurant owner is not saying, you gave me 500 rupees, I am going to give you food equivalent to 500 rupees. What is this transaction? This unlimited thali transaction is, you gave money to the restaurant owner because he has to earn and he has to run his restaurant. And the owner in turn is satisfying your hunger. So it's not a matching of what you give and what he gives. It's a fulfillment of need. Okay. So when you are doing a job, supposing you are a software engineer or you are an HR manager, do you do the job keeping it in mind that, okay, he's giving me this much salary, so I'll do this much job for him? Or do you say, he is fulfilling my need for money so that I can take care of my parents, my wife, my children, and in turn, I'm fulfilling his need. So you don't draw limits. Okay. Once you take this approach, will this not change your attitude towards your work? Definitely it will, because then you will start thinking in terms of how you can fulfill his needs better. Can I do a bit of training? Can I do a little bit of innovation to my work so that his requirement is fulfilled better than it is at present? Mitigate the me focus. We are all living with a me focus, which is very natural. Okay. How does everything relate to me? That is how we all live. Even when we say I am working for others, at that time also it is me centric. For example, we say I am working for an anathalaya. Why do I work? Because it gives me happiness. Focus is on me. Okay. I am going to teach poor children. Why? Because that will give meaning to my life. So it is very natural that we are at the center of our universe. But let us not get so me centered that others stop mattering to us. Okay. What can I extract from this friendship? That should not be the approach. There should be mutuality. Okay. If I am totally me centric, then what will happen? Relationships begin to develop ruptures. So we should try to mitigate the me focus as much as possible. Aggressive me focus triggers insecurity and a defensive and self protective attitude in the other. If you're all the time, some people say you're always thinking about yourself, you never think about me. That is what happens between husband and wife very commonly. The wife says you are always talking about yourself. I will do this, I will do this, I will do this. What about me? Do I matter to you at all? So that is where we should also train our mind to look at things from the other person's point of view. Empathy, as they call it. Cooperation, not competition. So we should try to cooperate, not compete. The quiet confidence. Quiet confidence is a very, very powerful word. There are people who are confident, but their confidence becomes overbearing. They're all the time putting their confidence on you. They burden you with their confidence. But there is a quiet confidence where you're very quiet, very sober, but the other person knows that this man is strong. He needs me as much as I need him. This is what gives the quiet confidence. The husband knows the wife also needs me. It's not just I who need her. The client knows that the other person also needs him. Trust your ability to acquire knowledge in multiple fields. This is something that most of us are missing. We should try to learn new things. By your knowledge, you can expand the client's needs also. Very important. Supposing you are looking for a client. If you know a lot about software, you will be able to tell, sir, this is also what you can do for me. And he'll say, oh, this never came to my mind. So what will happen? Your chances of getting the project will become much better. Because now he is getting something that he had not planned for. Lasting relationships, formula for steady growth. There is a lot of attrition that goes on in all companies, a lot of deboarding. So if we can reduce that, what will happen? It will help us to build up a very good reputation. So a lot of things which happen now will not happen. For example, if we have a reputation that persons who join this company stay on for years together, then we'll get good persons because they'll know that this is going to be like a government job. Study job seekers' personality. If you start studying people's personalities, you'll find that gradually you'll be able to look at a person and understand a lot about the person. You talk to him for 5 minutes, him or her for 5 minutes, and you will know what are his or her traits, how he or she is going to behave in a certain situation. So there are the permanently disgruntled type, always finding fault. अरे उसे पूछो कैसा चल रहा, अरे क्या चलना है, कुछ भी नहीं चल रहा. So they're always full of complaints. Okay. There is a person who met me and he said that he had given up a job, so and so job. I said, why did you give it up? He said, I got a feeling that I was earning for somebody else. I was working so that so and so can make money. I said, why do you look at like this? You could have looked at it differently. You could have said, I'm enjoying this job because it is it is helping me earn money. It is helping me acquire skills. So if you turn the lens, instead of turning it that side, you turn it this side and try to see how it is benefiting you, the entire perspective will change. Don't try temporary achievements through manipulation of emotions of others. You should build up an image of being trustworthy. Identify traits and trait clusters of people you know. We have all traits, and those traits fit into clusters. That is, one type of traits goes with another type. Discuss your understanding about personalities, especially with those who have good knowledge of human psychology. Supposing in your vicinity you have somebody who has a good understanding, try to do that. Enjoying one job, meditation. What do I love rather than what do I hate? Very different. Many of us start analyzing, what do I hate about this job? Okay, you talk to him and he'll say, whatever, how's your job? Useless job. All the time there is pressure. That's one way. Another way is that you love your job. See, loving or hating is in our own control, and that's what we don't realize generally. The perpetually disgruntled person I already talked about. The simplest meditation technique is what uh, Patanjali Yoga Sutra says in its sutra, Yogash Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha. That is, yoga is the Nirodhaha, that is the stoppage, halting of Chitta's Vrittis. What does that mean? That means all the time something is going on in our mind. If we can halt it for some time, then we become peaceful. And gradually, what happens is that becomes our style. Now, stopping doesn't mean that you should stop your thinking. Stopping means that you engage your thinking in such a manner with something so that your stream of consciousness comes to a halt. There is a difference between two. If you try to stop your stream of consciousness, it will produce negative results. If you engage your mind in something so that the stream of consciousness automatically slows down or comes to a halt, that is what is required. So maybe you can sit like this and simply say Om, Om, Om in your mind so that your focus is on Om and your stream of consciousness slowly fades away. Once that starts happening, you will find that your mind will become peaceful. Let us connect and learn from each other. I have created a program called mobprog.net. That's a URL I obtained. I sent you that program also. I'm going to make it a little more elaborate. Through that, we can have one-to-one interaction, and that will be in complete secrecy. Nobody will come to know what we are talking to each other. And that way, I can help you resolve some of your conflicts, and we can grow professionally and personally as a team. Thank you very much for listening to me. And now we can have a discussion on whatever I have said or whatever I have not said. So we'll go to the second part of our workshop. Let's discuss. Okay. Video finish. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. I hope it was not too much off the mark. Yeah.